But what I again find very interesting that you cite in your thesis, the verse from Udana Varga, I think, talking about ayatana nibbana. I would like you to explain a bit more of what this ayatana nibbana is. But the verse, the text that you cited in your thesis says the ayatana that we are talking about is now, let me read out the verse. Monks, I do not speak of that ayatana, that it is coming or going or remaining or falling or arising. That ayatana is without foundation, without occurrence, without object. This is the end of dukkha. Now, this is almost identical with the description of the ultimate in a Mahayana Sutra or the Dharmadhatu in the Mahayana context. And for the Mahayana scholars arguing for an ultimate self or ultimate Dharmakaya, there are so many such Mahayana sutras, which all sides of Mahayana philosophical schools and sections would accept. I found this verse you cited very striking. It's almost like describing the Dharmadhatu in Mahayana. Are there many such verses also? Or what's your take on this? Can you explain a bit?
Yes, so I will explain
that of ayatana nibbana.
Yes, I will explain about ayatana now. Another controversial aspect about this meditation, according to many Pali scholars, is the understanding of ayatana. So according to Loposot, the Nibbana is located in the mind of the Dhammakaya. When the Buddhas and Arahants still possess the five aggregates, they can reach the state of Nibbana in their minds at the center of their Dhammakayas. But when the Buddhas and Arahants pass away into final Nibbana, their five aggregates break up and their Dhammakaya will forever dwell in ayatana Nibbana. So ayatana, it's I want to talk about ayatana briefly. Okay, so ayatana, Luang Por Sot described as a dwelling place, but he does not mean that it is literally a physical dwelling place, like a house or a town, a city. According to his description of ayatana, it is a unconditioned, supramundane, superphysical realm, higher than and more refined than the three realms. It is beyond the physical. There is no earth, water, fire, wind, sun, moon, going, coming, standing, arising, and birth in it. And it is a dwelling place of the Dhammakaya. There is a passage in Udana, which he just talked about, which the Buddha refers to an ayatana where there is neither earth, nor fire, nor wind, etc., etc. Yes, and this is ayatana is the end of dukkha. Luang Por Sot talks about this ayatana as a dwelling place. But a lot of scholars criticize this understanding as wrong, and they think that ayatana just refers to the sphere of the mind that perceives nibbana at the moment of enlightenment. But there's also
So I have a question. There's also discussion of or presentation of nibbana as a glass city. Are we referring to ayatana nibbana through that metaphor?
Nibbana as glass city is quite a traditional interpretation, and it can be traced back to a late Ayutthaya period. And there's an article by Baron Jan Terville who shows a tripum, or the drawing of the three worlds, and the drawings depicts Nibbana as a city in that drawing. But Nibbana is a city in itself. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor, but it's a metaphor that has certain similarities to Luang Por Sut's understanding of Nibbana, because if there is a state of Nibbana, yes, there must be the holder of that state. A state cannot just float in the air, you know. The holder is Dhammaka, according to him.
So that's again another very interesting thing that I find shared during the Samaharan tradition and the Tibetan traditions. In the Tibetan traditions, when something is purified, there is a basis for that purification, Jangshi, as it's often referred to. And the same seems to apply here in the Samaharan tradition, that when you clean something, there should be something to be cleaned, like clothes. So the Dhammaka is the basis of the purification or the spiritual transformation. Is that right?
Yes, so Dhammaka is described as the holder, or the where the state of Nibbana is situated, because otherwise Nibbana cannot just be floating around in thin air or in nothingness. Dhammaka is a holder of Nibbana, and when there is a holder, there must be a place that the Dhammaka dwells. So that place is Ayatana Nibbana. So when Luang Por Sut refers to Ayatana, there is another passage from Dhammapada. This one, sages who do not harm, constantly restraining the body, they go to the place without birth where, having gone, they do not grieve. And my teacher argues that Ayatana Nibbana is the abiding place of Nibbana Dhatu, or the Nibbana element. Basically, Nibbana Dhatu is Dhammaka, because that Nibbana Dhatu is in the commentary is described as the holder of the state of Nibbana, or the nature where the Nibbana is situated, and is equated with Dhammaka by my teacher Ajahn Sermchai, who described Nibbana as having three aspects. One, the state of Nibbana, which is like the state, the purity of the mind, basically. Yeah. The second, the holder of the state, or Dhammaka, or Nibbana Dhatu, which is Nibbana element. And third, the third aspect is Ayatana, or the dwelling place of the Nibbana Dhatu, or Dhammaka. And this perspective is extremely controversial in Thai Buddhism, of course.